Hello you guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. What is up? My name is Dia. Nice of you to join us for today's video. So when it comes to fragrances, one thing you should absolutely know about me is that although I love buying new perfumes, I especially love it when I use them up. It gives me a certain kind of accomplishment. Yeah, well, in today's video we're going to be talking about some Middle Eastern fragrances that I used up towards the end of 2024, and I'm going to be talking about, for some of them at least, for some of them I'm going to be talking about my experiences with the perfumes as they macerated. So if this sounds like something you might be interested in, then definitely stick around and keep on watching. I have my box of Empties right here. And you guys know that I don't know, at one point I just started to like talking about things in in order, whether ascending or descending order. Today we're not going to be doing that. We're just going to be talking about them as we go. Let's see, which one do I want to talk about first? All right, let's talk about Montaigne Vanille. Let's talk about Montaigne Vanille. And if you've seen my video, you know which perfume this is supposed to be a dupe for. Actually, let me pull out the original because it's right here. Yep. Now this is supposed to be a dupe. Oh, did that shake? Yeah. Now this is supposed to be inspired by Marha Rasasi's Vanille, and they smell very similar, but this is a lot stronger. Like the scent here is a lot stronger. It's a little bit sharper, especially the opening, and it projects more than Rose's Vanille in my opinion. This projects on skin and on clothes. This also projects. It does project. It's not subtle. It's definitely not subtle, but it's not as sharp as Montaigne Vanille. Now I've spoken about this one already. I don't want to like go into details about the comparison, but if this sounds like something you might want to know about, I would link that video to this particular one. But let's talk about Montaigne Vanille. So this one, when I first got it, this was a spicy, rosy vanilla fragrance. Now the more that I had this one, I noticed that it was getting bitter. Like it didn't smell bitter, but it had like a certain bitterness to it. And like this past couple of months, like because I've had this for, I don't know, maybe, I don't think it's been a year yet. I think I got this very early in 2024, but towards the end of 2024 this got sweeter. Like the vanilla really peeked through. It smelled really sweet. So let me give you this very short story. So I put this on. I went to the library one time, and then there was this girl who was seated right in front of me, and then she turned and she was like, what do I have on? Like, she said my perfume smelled like this vanilla, Middle Eastern vanilla fragrance that she once had, and she hasn't like been able to find the fragrance ever since she got to the state. And so I told her it was this one. The more that I had this, the longer that I had this, the sweeter it got. Like the more the vanilla really came out. Like it was very sweet, and it's not like a gourmand kind of sweet. It's not even like a vanilla bean kind of sweet. It's more of like a vanilla essence sweetness with that spice, and it really stood out. This is absolutely worth it. I don't know, to me, I feel like I actually prefer Montaigne Vanille to the original. And as you guys can see, I still have this one, and this is completely used up, and I did want to use this one up, but I noticed that I don't use this one as frequently. Like it's not that I hate the scent, but I don't know, it's not a bad scent, but it's not, I feel like this was probably one of the fragrances that people kind of overhyped. I don't know, but it's definitely grown. It's sexy. I can see that it's mature, and this one is slightly smoother than Montaigne. This is a sharp scent, but I don't know, I do prefer this one. I think that if you have been thinking about whether to get Montaigne Vanille by Maison Alhambra, I think it's absolutely worth it. The cocoa is even better, because that one I used up in probably less than a month, because it was that good. But yeah, that is all for Montaigne Vanille, and this are my thoughts on it after maceration. Now the next one we're going to be talking about is Angham Lattafa, and this one I actually used up very recently. In this particular perfume, you get notes of that lavender, you get notes of vanilla, but you also get notes of other things. Now I've noticed that in my last two like reviews on this particular fragrance, I keep talking about how this is a gourmand scent. Now when I say gourmand, I'm not necessarily just talking about that vanilla. Like, I'm talking about the combination of the other scent notes that comes together to sweeten this particular fragrance. You do get vanilla in there, but there are other things. There's that cacao and there's that praline, and when there's praline in the fragrance, it's going to be sweet. So it's not just vanilla sweet, it's gourmand sweet, because there are other things in it. But this is a nice scent. I do find that the longer you have this fragrance, the more that lavender peeks through. But I would say that it's still a lot smoother. Like, the lavender in here is a lot smoother than the lavender in Athena, and the lavender in here is not as much as the lavender in Athena. I don't know why I'm talking about that here. I've already done like a full video on it, but you know, just something to keep in mind. But this one is a nice fragrance. I think that if you're a gourmand girly, you like sweet fragrances and you like lavender, this is something that you would absolutely enjoy. And the bottle is actually very pretty. I think I'll keep the bottle though, you know, for future reference, because I do this thing where I do like comparisons from time to time. So I'm gonna keep the bottle, but also because it's pretty. But yeah, that's basically it for Angham. I don't know that there's anything else that I want to talk about it, but this is probably one of my least favorite fragrances from Lattafa. However, I know that's just... Anyway, moving on to the next one. This one we're going to be talking about Hayaatim Lattafa, and this is a beast mode fragrance. This I remember I described as a sweet. It's a very sweet fragrance. It's a sweet, fruity fragrance that has like a bit of spice, but the spices do not really project in this particular fragrance on my skin, at least, but they're very present. It has like a kind of a citrusy depth to it with that spice. I think in the beginning I was getting like some patchouli in here, but the more that I use this fragrance, I wasn't getting that patchouli as much. This is a great fragrance, I would say. I think that they said that this is good for summer, and I can see how this fragrance is great for summer. But this was it was very strong. It was very strong. There was just something about it, especially when the sun was scorching. It was just too much, you know. And I still stand by what I said in my video. This fragrance, I can see how, because of that sweetness of this fragrance, I can see how this would appeal to women. But this one leans more masculine because of that citrusy depth and a little bit of those spice. But yeah, this one I really wanted to see how this one will perform when it was like colder outside. And in December it did get pretty cold and it performed really nicely. Now this is a beast mode fragrance. This is a beast mode fragrance. This is a fragrance that would announce your presence. This was very strong. But yeah, this is I don't know, I think it did really well during the winter, and it was strong, but it wasn't as strong as when like the sun was really scorching. Does that make sense? But it's a really nice perfume, I'm not gonna lie. I think if you like sweet fragrances, sweet fruity fragrances, the fruits in here were not fresh still, kind of like very 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 ripe fruits, but yeah, I'm glad it's completely used up though, but you know, it's all good. I like this bottle too. I think I'm probably gonna keep most of my empty bottles with me, well, because I don't think that I'll be moving anytime soon. But yeah, that's basically it for Hayaatim. I don't know that, aside the fact that I wasn't getting much patchouli from it after that maceration, in the beginning it wasn't like, it didn't stand out anyway, but other than that, there wasn't anything else. There wasn't like any change in the fragrance for me. Everything else was pretty constant, but it was still very strong even during the winter. So you know, I guess that's something to consider. Anyway, moving on to the next one. And this is Marha for women, and this was a fragrance that I was sent to me by Intense Oud. This was a fragrance that was sent to me by Intense Oud, and in the video where I spoke about this particular fragrance, I did mention that it wasn't necessary. It's not really my kind of fragrance. It's like a very sweet, tropical, fruity scent, and the projection is pretty good. And let me tell you guys, the longevity on this particular fragrance, I'm not gonna lie, that caught me off guard. This projected really well and was very long lasting, especially on clothes. I wore this during the winter, like during December, because it got really cold around that time, and I wore this a few times, and this stayed on my clothes all, it stayed on my skin all day, it stayed on my clothes all day. And I think that the more that I use this fragrance, the stronger it got. Listen, I think that if you are somebody who likes, you know, the kind of tropical kind of scents, if you like fruity scents, if you like sweet fruity scents, you just like fruity, sweet, tropical summer vibe kind of fragrances, this would just be perfect for you. Oh, and I think I match it with my veil. No, but this was really nice, and I was pleasantly surprised by the longevity on this perfume. Like, I was like, oh, that's a very good perfume. And I don't think this is a very popular fragrance. It definitely deserves a certain kind of hype though, so you know. Marha by, oh, this is by Rasasi, by the way. I didn't even mention that. But anyway, moving on. I don't think there's anything else that I want to say about that. We have just 2 fragrances to talk about, which is pretty good. Now let's talk about Khamrah Qahwa. Oh my god, this fragrance, this is one of the modiest Middle Eastern fragrance I've ever used. It is a strong scent. It's a strong scent. You get very juicy. It's a very juicy fragrance. It's juicy, it's very sweet, it has that, you know, cinnamon. This one especially, in the beginning when I was spraying, I got a bit of that spice, you know, that ginger, that gingery-ness to it, gingery spice to it. It's still sweet. It has very much that Khamrah DNA, but I think that the more it macerated, the sweeter it gets. But I still think that the Khamrah original is a lot sweeter than this one. This one too, I feel like has a little bit more cinnamon in here than the original. It's pretty heavy, and I did start to get that coffee. The more that I had, like the longer that I had it, the more that I got that coffee from this particular fragrance. It's very sweet, and this fragrance is very strong. It's very strong. There were times where my people from my department would tell me that they knew I was around because they could smell me even before they saw me. Okay, this one time I was supposed to visit one of the classes to talk about something, and so when I was outside, I was waiting until the time that we agreed on to go into the class, but I was seated outside of the class, right? And then the instructor came out and looked towards my direction, and then later on she was telling me that she knew that I was outside because she could smell my perfume through the class. Do you know how insane that was? She could smell me through the wall. That is insane. This is a very strong fragrance. I thought it was a nice compliment, but I think it made me a little aware. Like it made me a little conscious. I was like, oh wow, okay. But anyway, that is it for Khamrah Qahwa. It's nice, but if I was gonna buy it again, I think I would go for the original, but that's just me though. And now for the last one, this one I haven't used up, and the reason why I'm adding this particular fragrance to this video is because I don't know what to do with it. Listen, this was one of the fragrances that I would say has like a certain hype on social media, especially on TikTok. And it's one of the Lattafa fragrances that is not for me. Does it smell good? I think it does. It's very heavy on the wood, and you do get that vanilla sweetness. The vanilla sweetness definitely peeked through, but this one does lean masculine in my opinion. But if you like very strong woody fragrances, you're gonna like this one. I would say though, the more that this macerated, the more it smells a little bit more similar to the original. Because, you know, in the original, and I went to Sephora to go smell that one because I've smelled it before, but I wanted to remind myself of what it smells like. And the more that I smell that fragrance, I still don't get why people like the original so much. It doesn't smell that good to me. Now, the original has a very heavy chestnut fragrance scent note. Like, it's very apparent from the opening, especially. I remember the first time I smelled it, I was like, oh, this has a fruity kind of scent note, but I couldn't quite. Is it fruit? It's chestnut fruity. I don't know, but it had like a weird fruity scent to it, and I couldn't quite peg what that scent was. But when I saw that it had chestnut, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I don't know if chestnut is a fruit or a nut. Oh, is it a nut? I don't know, but it definitely had that scent to it. I do find that I don't know that there's chestnut in here, but I get a little bit more of that scent the more that this fragrance macerates. And as you can see, I think that the juice has darkened a little bit more. Yeah, I feel like it has darkened because I've had this for a while, maybe close to a year or maybe a little over a year. I don't know. It's quite possible. Mais je sais pas. Je suis pas trop sûre. Hein. Me with this perfume, I don't know. I don't know that I'm gonna use it up. I might keep it for, you know, future purposes of if when I want to do like a comparison video, because I do those a lot. But I might keep it. I might keep it. Why not? Pourquoi pas? But I don't know that I want to use it. I sprayed this on my jacket very recently, and in the beginning I was like, oh, that's really nice, because I was really getting that sweetness, and then it just turned very woody. I was like, I don't like that very much. But a little bit of ASMR. But yeah, I think I'll keep it, but I don't know that I would use it. But anyway, that's just that. But yeah, that is all of the fragrances that I used up towards the end of 2024. I do have some mist that I've used up as well. I don't know that should I do a video on it? I don't know, but we'll see. I think that the next video I'm gonna do, however, is I will show you guys the fragrances that I'm planning to use up by, let's say, the end of this month. It's possible, but then again, I don't feel like there are certain fragrances that I want to use up just yet. We'll look into that, because I'm trying to be very responsible about the way that I go about gathering fragrances, because as you know, this is something that can very easily become an addiction, and I want to be more thoughtful about the way that I do that. So, you know, that's just by the way, I guess. That is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in my next one.